right? So, what were they? What were the 9 bullet points? I mean, it's 5 months old, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to get into it is because we're going to talk about the accident. And I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you some very, very interesting things that happened in the accident. And that's why it's important, because if I don't know them and I don't do them, it's your job to say, hey,
Yeah.
memory items or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to save you. I'm leaving soon, right? I've always tried to make you a captain, right?
Sure.
So now, what were they? Because it's important. You know, when a bulletin comes out, it becomes
Yeah.
a memory item,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
It's life or death. It's life or death. I think it ended up killing those guys because they didn't remember them, right? So can you remember? And I'm just trying to be friendly now. It's just,
Yeah, sure.
I want you
Sure.
to really understand how serious it is. So,
Yeah.
how many can you remember? First of all, do you know how many there were?
Let me tell you, and then.
Yeah, just give me random
yeah.
order, whatever.
So you mean the procedure that was?
No. I just want to know.
Yeah.
In the bulletin, it talked about how many possible indications of MCAS there were, and I just want you to tell me what you remember.
Yeah.
I'm going to defend you when you give me your answer. I'm going to defend you. I'm not going to give you a hard time. I'm going to defend you.
Yeah, sure.
So what is it?
So there will be continuous stabilizer trim, either pitch up or pitch down.
No, it can only pitch down.
Pitch down, yeah, sure.
All right.
And then autopilot disengaged.
Correct.
There is not enough control of it will be difficult to control the aircraft once it's pitched down.
When it gets to that point, but
Yeah.
we're talking about before it gets to this difficult to control,
Yeah.
other things would happen, right? So you had the autopilot disengage.
Yeah.
All right. What about engaging the autopilot? Would it engage?
No, it disengages.
Right. So
Once
even if you try to engage
yeah,
it, it would disengage, right?
Or something like that.
And what about on the primary flight display where you have your instrumentation? What would it show you there? Would there be any clues there that there's a problem? Because the autopilot is on the
Yeah,
is
of
on the
course.
remote
Sure.
control panel, right?
Yeah. One where we're gonna have the warning, the autopilot red warning.
Yeah, that's fine. That's part of the disengage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I said on your primary flight display. Primary flight display.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it said?
Just
there?
we're gonna have flight director.
No, that could still be there. Okay, what about, for example, a stick shaker? Is there something about a stick shaker?
Yeah, just stick shaker is an indication of stall.
But if the instrumentation is getting the wrong information, it might say, hey, you're stalling,
Yeah.
but actually you're not, right? So that was in there too. So there was so you might have the red band coming up and
Yeah.
hitting you,
Yeah.
and the stick shaker. So
stick
when you do
shaker
the stick
on,
shaker test, right,
Yeah.
you might have the stick
Yeah.
shaker.
Yeah.
And then what else? Was there anything else?
There may be just not correct speed indication here.
Right,
Yeah.
right, okay, correct, exactly right.
Yeah.
And okay, so there's a few more. And now, if you get these airspeed indications that are erroneous, that you don't, in a stick shaker, what would be the action for that? Is there a QRH for that?
For what? For what? For the
Yeah, stick shaker and the airspeed indications. Is there a QRH that we should be doing for that?
For example, for airspeed, there is unreliable airspeed.
Exactly,
checklist.
right. Yeah, exactly, you're right.
And,
what would be the memory items for that? If you just took off and you put the gear up, what would be the memory items?
So for gear up, the memory just disengaging autopilot. Already
Yeah.
the autopilot would not be engaged.
So, or don't engage
And
it,
then-
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And thrust lever will be 80 and pitch will be at once if the gear is up.
How much?
If the gear is
Up?
up, I mean, and the flaps,
Or
we have the flaps.
yeah,
too.
exactly, yeah.
So the pitch altitude will be at 4
You sure?
or 7.
No. Right? And so this is so please remember this conversation. Know your shit, right? Because it's 10 degrees.
Yeah, 10 degrees. Yeah.
10
Yeah,
degrees
sure.
for flaps extended gear
Extended,
up,
yeah.
80% power
And for that
N1,
one,
right?
75
And if in
N4,
doubt,
yeah.
you do the memory items,
Yeah.
right? And then if I have all these indications wrong on my side, who should the pilot fly?
I'm gonna be in the pilot flying.
Of course. Now, if I don't say you have control, what would you say to me?
I have control.
Captain, I have control because cross-checking
Yeah.
with the standby, my side is reliable, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now when we talk about the accident later, I want you to remember the conversation because I want you to see that one of the problems is that the company didn't make sure that you understood the bulletin. Do you know what I mean? They didn't ask you, did you read it? Did you understand it? When did you do your last simulator? Did you do it before, after November, mid-November?
I think on
Or did you do any simulator with airspeed? Yeah.
not on speed real. On our train, it was not. Most of the time, it is for captains.
No, I know,
Speed on
but you're
real.
still in the cockpit. Because
Sure.
if he had airspeed unreliable, you would become pilot flying.
Yeah, of course. For example, in case if you didn't notice by the time,
Yeah,
or if you had
exactly,
capacity,
yeah.
is I'm gonna keep that.
Exactly, right? So there you go. So I want to review it with you, right?
Yeah.
Because the company made the mistake of not making sure that you knew it. I was doing this conversation with every first officer since November, right? Right? Because
Yeah.
I saw that not one first officer, since my flights in December, I meant to say December, January, February, March, April, we now have, right, 4 months that I started making sure that first officers knew, right? I never flew with the first officer in the crash, right? And all of them, every one of them, were struggling, couldn't remember the numbers and everything, and this will be a contributing factor in the accident, I guarantee it. And that's what's so sad about it, right? Right? So remember, anytime an AD comes out or a bulletin, the bulletin you will get, right? It becomes a memory of it. You need to get it in your head. Okay? Seriously, just friendly advice. I want you to be better, right? And if this person doesn't do it, you have to do it. That's a part of your job, right? Right? So there you go. That's see? Now you learned something, right?
Yeah,
and you learned
sure.
something about the tow bar.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Captain, just we're flying. What I mean.